There are many factors that could make it impossible for us humans to survive on Earth in the long term. Climate change, for example, or wars or even asteroid impacts that destroy life on Earth in one fell swoop. So how can we ensure human survival? One answer comes from a biotech startup in the Netherlands and sounds more than crazy at first. Egg cells and semen are to be transported into space in a first step, and already in 2024 the first birth in space is supposed to take place. WTF! You can find out exactly what is behind these plans right now on Click Some Science and Fiction. Welcome, subscribe to the channel to never miss any of our new videos. 1, 2. If humanity wants to become a multi-planetary species, we also need to learn how to reproduce in space, says the website of Space Life Origin, the Dutch biotechnology company. The vision: the first human birth is to take place in space as early as 2024, i.e. in 5 years. According to the company, this is a decisive step to enable us humans to build colonies on other planets in the near future. The three-stage plan of the Dutch startup would also give us the opportunity to repopulate the Earth after a catastrophe. In the first step, male semen and female oocytes are to be transported into space starting in 2020 in a kind of satellite ball with 1,000 tubes each. The transport of semen and ova into space could cost up to $125. In the long term, the company hopes to build up a diverse gene pool, and according to the company, there are already around 30 million people who are interested in the idea and want to keep their genes alive. The next stage, Mission Lotus, means artificial insemination in space. The cost for this could amount to up to $5 million. In addition, a space embryo incubator is required for artificial insemination in space, which still needs to be designed. At first, though, pregnancy and birth, which follow artificial insemination in space, are to take place on Earth. Only in the third step will the birth of the first baby in space take place in 2024, as already mentioned. The name for this mission straddle, the company's plan is to reduce the risk as far as possible to the level of a hospital birth. In addition, only mothers in space who have already delivered 2 children on Earth without complications are allowed to give birth. But isn't it completely risky and unrealistic to let a pregnant woman fly into space? A doctor would accompany the pregnant woman on her 35-hour short trip into space, but what is he supposed to do in case of an emergency? The company also leaves open which rocket will transport the mother into space for the birth, and also in which space station this is possible. And so experts are not really optimistic about these plans. Space travel expert Claudia Kessler comments in an interview with Die Welt: "The concept is interesting in principle, and of course there are always a discussion among space travelers about how to ensure the continued existence of mankind in space. But the timetable that Space Life Origin has in mind is certainly very unrealistic, and the implementation is very questionable both technically and ethically." The whole project sounds very adventurous and reminds me of the Mars One campaign. Here, protagonists were sought out who wanted to fly to Mars with a one-way ticket in order to colonize it. Many had actually volunteered originally. The first humans were supposed to land on Mars in 2022, but in the meantime, those responsible have cancelled the project. Click here for our exclusive interview with Harvard professor Abraham Loeb. Is Oumuamua an alien probe? And stay tuned and see you soon.